Welcome to the Everything Is Earned podcast. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Tim, your co-host.
And we're breaking down everything happening in your Cleveland sports world. And today we're going to start with some interesting topics of discussion that we've kind of been throwing around a little bit, since this whole quarantine life is going on, is what if we redrafted the 2019 and 2018 NBA drafts? And we're going to start with 19 first because it was most recent here. So, Tim, we obviously in 19 we take Darius Garland and Kevin Porter Jr. and Dylan Windler. Dylan Windler doesn't get to play because of the leg injury. Kevin Porter Jr. has a breakout,
breakout moments.
Breakout moments against Houston. A couple other ones against the Hawks. He had a couple of really nice games in there.
It started off with Atlanta. Yeah, we were at that game.
He was great, and I think Kevin Porter Jr. is a future star in this league. But if you had to redraft the 2019 draft, looking at where the Cavs landed, where the rest of the league landed, who would you draft?
What are my priorities?
Yeah, if you're the Cavs still, and you end up with that same picking slot.
So there. we got number 5. Oh, we still don't have 30 from Detroit.
Yeah, we'll still assume that.
Okay, so we got number 5. That was our pick. Number 30, we trade four future second rounders, right? Mm-hmm. For Detroit's 30th pick. That's when we drafted Porter. And then 26 with Dylan Windler. We had that pick too from, who was that from? Golden State or something?
I don't know. It was from the Windler. Windler was from. No, it was our own pick. I guess it was some pick from somewhere. I can't tell you where.
Boston. It was probably from Boston.
Yeah, it was an old pick.
Well, starting at 5, okay, we drafted Darius Garland. During that time, Jarrett Culver was a guy that we're also interested in. I've never been a big fan of him. I didn't want to draft him then. I don't want to draft him now. You have Kobe White, who's been a good option from Chicago. He's been brought off the bench. Jackson Hayes, he's been for New Orleans. But then we have Roy Aru Hachimura, who with Washington, and he's very intriguing. He's probably who I'd draft. Actually, I have two different kind of alternatives here that I draft. But the first one, I'd probably draft Hachimura. He's kind of a tweener forward. I haven't really liked those guys. He's 6'8". He plays at the power forward, but I think like I want to do with Larry Nance a little bit. I would love to play him at the 3 a little bit too. But he's aggressive. He's a good finisher. He's an adequate jump shot right now. He's shooting high from the field.
He's pretty strong though too.
He's pretty strong, physical guy, which I love those kind of players. I see a lot of potential scoring too, and I think he's a versatile player. Or he's gonna be. He can kind of put his first year. He's been able to put the ball on the ground, face up in the post, and do some damage right there. And with the 2020 draft, we know how potent the guard position is that draft. I would probably elect to defer at this draft with Darius Garland and with more at that forward spot.
I don't know if you could say the 2020 draft is potent. I think it's a weird
LaMelo
draft.
Ball, Anthony Edwards.
I don't think it's potent though. I don't think the draft is potent. I think it's just a weird draft. We don't have a standout superstar.
Cole Anthony
last year.
Cole Anthony Edwards.
It's just a weird draft. I don't think there's anyone.
LaMelo Ball. You don't think he has star potential?
Maybe. I don't know. His jump shot's so broken, Tim. His jump shot is beyond broken. Like, people are saying that his jump shot is going to have to be completely reconstructed, just like
probably
his brothers. Because it's a dumb jump shot. I don't know how you can keep playing with that jump shot. No one's like,
but,
hey,
hold on.
If you switch it up.
But you mentioned his brother, right, LaMelo. He plays for the Pelicans. He had traded there during Anthony Davis trade. He was shooting like almost 48% in the last month they were playing.
But when did...
And he was shooting I think he was shooting 4 or 5 threes a game.
What's
LaMelo?
What year is LaMelo in now?
He's what, in 3rd, 4th?
Yeah, so he's taking him that long to get acclimated?
Yeah, but he's been a dominant passer already. He's been a good playmaker. He's been a
great passer.
He's been a great playmaker and probably above average defender.
I like the LaMelo Ball idea, but I think he's a lot of baggage. I don't want to mess with that baggage.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see that.
It's a lot.
He's gonna bring a lot of drama to Cleveland as well.
Well, not necessarily drama if you if you don't have his dad involved, but
I think
whenever
he's still
you have the Ball family involved, there's gonna be extra drama, which is just ridiculous.
Have you listened to some of his interviews too? I think he has a very controversial kind of he kind of pits at you a little bit with his personality and some of the things he says, and I think that's gonna create some of that drama, some of that controversy
I don't think
in
he's
Cleveland.
mature enough to be a top pick.
Oh, I don't think he's mature enough to be in Cleveland. I think he's more fit for L.A. or Miami or New York or something like that. I don't think he's fit for this kind of smaller market kind of basketball.
Okay, so going back to the 2019 draft, you want Hachimura because you think
at number 5
because his athleticism is intriguing. I think if you look at the Wizards, the best pieces they have right now is Hachimura and Beal. And Beal is going to get traded at some point here because that team's terrible.
Yeah, that or John Wall.
John Wall's contract is so awful. No one wants to touch that thing.
Well, with this, we signed by the Beal too.
I know it's a 2-year crap deal. It was giving him a lot of money to stay there.
Okay. Well then, so that's my pick at number 5, and then I'd probably keep Windler and Porter at 26 and 30. I like both those picks, and I think they play well. Both of them with Hachi in that system. You have shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and I think that's a good spot to go at with those. And then so that's my first one, and then my second alternative option would be to draft Kevin Porter Jr. at number 5. Okay, hear me out. Number 5, we know how gifted he is. The big problem was coming into the draft was his attitude. Was he uncoachable? That kind of thing. Is he difficult to deal with from a team perspective? And I think over the last most of this first year, I think first 65 games or so, I think he's shown that he just had a disagreement in college, and I don't think that's affecting him here in the pros. I think when you have money on the line, and when maybe it was just
He really cost himself money by not getting drafted higher.
Well, he did. I think there was a misinterpretation there, or something. Something happened that we didn't quite know what it was.
It was a maturity thing, probably, and he got by it. He got past it.
So I'd select Kevin Porter Jr. Knowing what we know now with the talent he has at number 5, and then I'd probably draft Dylan Windler again at 26. I really liked him, even though he hasn't played in a year, so we'll not to see any results of that draft until this next season. Or maybe even this year. I mean, if the season continues, and with the stress reaction, he might be able to return this year, because they initially had him out for the entire season. But then so now that we have Porter Jr. and Windler at 25 at 26, I'd draft a guy named Eric Pascal from Villanova. We all know that Villanova team was really good last year, and he came from kind of a winning pedigree system, and he got drafted by Golden State this year. I really don't like Golden State, but I can't disregard some of the talent on that. We all know how good Steph and Clay are. They're generational talent shooters. I love them. I'd probably love them as players if they weren't on that team. But I think I really like Eric Pascal. He's a big, beefier, small forward. He's very physical too. He's very aggressive. I'd say he's a more athletic Draymond Green, with a little bit more scoring potential, or more of a volume scorer, rather than Draymond Green is more on that defensive type. Mm-hmm. But he has a lot of defensive potential, and he has a lot of upsides. And I think if he wasn't in that system right now with D'Lo, when D'Lo was there, and Steph and Clay, I mean, most of them either of those guys aren't really playing right now. But if he had a few years to grow on a bad team when he was the number 1 guy, or number 2 guy, I think he could very easily become a very good player and possibly an all-star. I think he has all-star potential. And the Golden State got him at 41. I would draft him at 30 in this scenario. So that's my second alternative scenario. Draft Kevin Porter Jr. at 5, Windler 26 still, and then Eric Pascal, a small forward, kind of power forward to me, depending on what kind of basketball you're playing, at 30 there.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say something a little different. And I'm going to go with, even though I think Garland has very high potential in terms of what's going on. I'm assuming the Cavs are going to take LaMelo Ball, right? So he's going to be a point forward type of player. I'm going to assume
next season.
I'm going to assume that this draft that the Cavs.
Okay, in this scenario.
Ball. So why do I need Darius Garland at this point? I don't. He's going to be a backup.
I'm saying.
So
you plan on
looking at my roster. I would take Tyler Hero at number 5. I think Tyler Hero is a very intriguing player because he can create his own shot a little bit, and he's a cold-blooded scorer, and he's a guy
shooter.
He's a scorer, man. The guy can score. He can fill it up.
Okay.
And I think he's really interesting because you get a guy who comes with a little bit of attitude, a little bit of
chip on his shoulder,
a little bit of moxie. For those old school people out there, a little bit of moxie. And I think you need something like that on a team that's kind of trying to find its identity. It doesn't quite have an identity yet. So a guy like Tyler Hero could really help you form an identity as a team and help you add a little bit of more of an aggressive tone to your offense.
And would he fit better with Colin Sexton than Garland has?
Yeah, because he doesn't need to have the ball in his hands. He's not a ball dominant player. He can create his own shot when he needs to, and he can absolutely stroke from outside.
And he's a guy that you can give the ball to at the end of the shot clock and say, "All right, go score here."
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something you don't really have besides outside of Porter. So I would stick. I would.
Some would argue
Colin
Sexton.
I would take him at 5, and then I think if you had the opportunity, I would still probably grab Windler because I think Windler is going to be a really nice role player off the bench.
I think I
don't think there's a lot of starters out there in this draft. I think there's some past 15 you're looking at a lot of bench players, but I think Windler would be a really nice three player off 3-2 type of guy off the bench.
I think he has starter potential though. I think we have to see his value. I think it was a really good value pick at 26.
I just think like in today's league you have to have a more high powered small forward in order to be successful.
Rather than a stringy kind of skinnier.
You're not going to get...
He has like a Taysom Prince kind of body type.
Unless you get an absolute all-star at the point guard or shooting guard position, you're going to have a really hard time being successful in this league without...
I just love his potential. I just love his potential coming out of a small school like Belmont. I just love those small school players that just ball out.
Who?
Dylan Windler played for Belmont. Small school. He dropped 21 and 10. He's a knockdown shooter. He's kind of has it's a really easy release. Like his shot looks effortless, and he has limitless range. He showed a little bit during summer league, and he came out in the summer league like he owned it. I think he's gonna come out in the NBA the same way. And with the NBA, I think a lot of it is mentality, and he already has that coming out from that small school. He has that chip on his shoulder. And he can really score.
Here's why I think Dylan Windler would be successful in the NBA. Because I believe that the NBA is so predicated on offense that you lose track of defense sometimes. And a guy like Windler who just keeps moving in an offense is able to get those easy buckets where maybe he's not putting up 20 points, but maybe he's putting up 12 for you, and he gets 3 or 4 of those buckets off of the defense being asleep or someone not making a proper pick or proper switch.
He's very fundamental. He boxes out, he rebounds hard, he cuts hard.
He does the right things. That will score points in the NBA though. You look at guys, they call them hustle guys. Windler's not a hustle guy necessarily, but he's a guy that will make defenses account for him because he'll just keep moving and keep finding open areas.
I think he has good court awareness and good IQ in that sense too. And he's those kind of guys. Windler, he's going to be one of those guys that just sits around the league. He's going to be in the league for like 14, 16, 17, 18 years if he can stay healthy or if he can get healthy.
He's a player like with the core fundamentals that even if he doesn't end up being a starter at some point, he'll be a consistent bench player in this league for a long time to come. I believe he has the fundamentals, like you said, and he has a really good basketball IQ, and that's what really matters in this type of game. And when the mental game elevates in the NBA, that's where a guy like Windler can be successful
and will continue to be successful.
So
that's 26 for you.
Yeah.
So without Dylan Windler,
I'm still 26. I'm still going to make the Porter trade, so I'm still good there at 30. And that's my draft. I'm happy with that. I'm going to be really happy if I get Tyler Hero at 5. I think I actually right now would rather have Tyler Hero than Darius Garland.
Right now, yes, for sure. I think he's fit very well in Miami's system. He's only added to the strong, cohesive play and identity that they've had at that 2 spot. But then we have other guys here that are good selections too, possibly over Garland,
ask you a dumb question.
but just didn't make it over our selections.
Let me ask you a dumb question real quick. Do you think that right now Garland or Porter Jr. is a better player?
Porter Jr. Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Regardless of he's had a lot of inconsistencies.
Who do you think has a higher ceiling?
Kevin Porter Jr. If they had the same play style and everything was identical, but the height, Kevin Porter Jr. would have a higher ceiling because of his height, because of his potential for versatility and being able to create matchup nightmares for opposing teams.
Now we keep talking about like players that are big at their position. And that's why I think that even if the Cavs get the top pick, they could definitely take LaMelo Ball just because he's
6'8".
Look how dominant you can have a guy be at the point guard position at 6'8", and then you put Porter Jr. at the 2 guard.
Well, yeah, the facilitator creator with the 1.
Then you gotta figure out how to trade Garland and try to figure out how to trade Sexton
or Garland,
and then have Garland come off the bench,
or vice versa, have Colin Sexton come off the bench.
But just know that you're not. I really don't like playing Porter at the 3. I like playing better at the 2.
I don't think he fits at the 2.
I think he's a better 2 than 3.
Yeah, and in the system of the players we have too, he fits better at the 2 because then where Dylan Windler going to get minutes, where is Jenny Osmond going to get minutes, is Larry Nance going to play any minutes at the 3, and then you can't possibly have Kevin Porter Jr. playing at the 3. So I think he fits at the 2, and personally, I like him at the 1 spot too. I think if you bring him off the bench, if you want to bring that potent offensive presence and that high IQ that he already has and awareness off the bench, then I think you could play him at the 1 and just be ball dominant with that bench group.
Porter Jr. at the 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like Porter Jr. at the 1 too. You can actually go a totally different direction and put Porter Jr. at the 1 going forward.
And draft Anthony Edwards.
It's actually not a bad idea. But we talk about talent over position fit.
Yeah.
And I think that's an interesting idea there. When you say where you're going to find minutes for Osman, I actually don't care. I don't care where you're going to find minutes for Osman because Osman to me is
below average.
He's below average and he's expendable at this point. If I could package Osman into something and get something out of it,
did we give him a 4-year or 3-year deal?
I know it's 40. We got a great deal on him, but let's be honest about Jetty Osman. He's a backup role player.
Yep.
He's a 15 to 20 minute a night guy. You don't want him playing huge minutes. You can play him at the 2 or the 3. You want him to play, minutes, in between with a leader off the bench role. You don't want him to be a guy who's going to take 12, 15 shots. You want him to take 5 to 6 shots. Like that's what his role is. Yeah. You want him to be out in the open court and running a break. That's where Jetty's the best.
And I think I agree with that point. And if we looked at down in 2020 draft and the players available, you can draft Anthony Edwards, you can draft Obi Toppin, depending on what pitch you're at. And if we do a scenario I was talking about, you bring Kevin Porter Jr. off the bench and have him run your offense at the 1, then you have all that playmaking ability at the 1 with Kevin Porter Jr. and how unselfish he is. And he could very well help. Jetty Osman could benefit because Jetty can have the ball in his hands on the open break, like you said, on the fast break, but you don't really want the ball in his hands otherwise. You can run Larry Nance with him, who's also very unselfish. We've seen Larry Nance and Kevin Porter Jr. play very, very well together in some of those lineups with Kevin Love and Thompson. We had that big lineup we had. It was it Garland, KP, Nance, Love, and Thompson to close out a few games with that little stretch we had where we beat Utah. We beat Miami? Yeah. We beat Miami. We beat Philadelphia. That you see that kind of chemistry build between those players. So I think pairing Jetty and Porter Jr., if you want to bring him off that, go that route and bring him off the bench, then I think that would be a good pairing. It goes along with what you're saying. And you can have, with Larry Nance not starting, assuming at some point we trade Kevin Love before the start of the season or early in that season before the trade deadline, and say you draft Obi Toppin, you're probably bringing, and you still have Andre Drummond, you're probably bringing Larry Nance off the bench. So then you pair those 3 players together, and maybe you run Matt Dellavedova in that lineup too. It just kind of solidifies that deep bench you have. Because we have a lot of players you can have Winlow too. So you could do KP, Deli, Winlow, Nance, and Thompson off the bench. That's a pretty strong bench, in my opinion, with a starting lineup of probably either Garland, Sexton, or then you either have Edwards. But
I think that your Cavs roster right now is chock full of bench players. You really don't have a lot of starters. Like, if you look at the starters that you have in the roster right now, and you think about it, you're gonna, Drummond's not gonna last beyond a year. He's, there's rumors right now, Tim, that they could even trade him in the offseason after he picks up his option. They're saying he might not even make it to the first game of the regular season.
Who's saying that?
There's rumors out there, man. People are saying.
Cleveland rumors, or other LA or New York.
Rumors that came out very recently and said Andre Drummond may have a very short stay in Cleveland. And I wouldn't be surprised. And same thing with Kevin Love. Okay, so now you're at two starters. Okay, now you got Tristan Thompson. He's out the door already. Are you gonna sign and trade him? So what do you have in this roster right now, Tim? You've got a bunch of misfits and a bunch of guys who think they're the man. Okay, so you need to start setting your expectations for who's actually the man, who you're gonna build the franchise around, who you're gonna move forward. And I swear to God, if the Cavaliers decide that Colin Sexton is their corner piece, I will lose my damn mind. Because this is where we're at right now, folks. You look at the Cavs roster, you know that you've restocked the shelves a little bit since LeBron's left. You have some picks in the drawer. You have some things coming up. You have some contracts that are valuable that you can move.
And expiring contracts as well.
Right, but here's the problem still. Who is your guy? And if people tell me Colin Sexton, I'm not going to be able to have this discussion. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to literally walk away if you tell me it's Colin Sexton, because if you look at the teams that are successful. You look at the teams that are out there competing in the playoffs. I'm not talking about they could win a regular season game. I'm talking about getting in the playoffs and getting past the first round. That's the next step for the Cavs. And if you look at this roster, you're in some serious shit, because you've got Colin Sexton recently saying that he can see the Cavs in the playoffs. You got JB Bickerstaff saying he can see the Cavs in the playoffs. What are they doing?
I think Beeline said that as well.
What are you doing that's going to get the Cavs in the playoffs? Because you're going to deal Love, you're probably going to deal Drummond, and you're going to have Windler come off of an injury. You're going to have an additional draft pick or two coming up here in this new draft, and then you're going to have the free agency where you have a little bit of money to spend if Drummond doesn't pick up his option.
Well, we talked about how we have a young team and not being able to close games. And Colin Sexton and a few other players and JB Bickerstaff mentioned that we're learning from experience. These young guys are gaining all experience. But then I think this year we're gonna have a better opportunity to close games than the coming years. Like you mentioned, Kevin Love's probably out the door. Andre Drummond might be a little hesitant on that still.
He's not. You can't.
Tristan Thompson, especially if you can't figure out the contract numbers. But I don't agree with you on Andre Drummond. I don't think he's gonna have the market to leave Cleveland. I think we'll wheel him up.
You're missing the point on that. His deal is not a deal that's gonna shake and move things. Look at the next year's free agency class. It's stacked. It's a stacked free agency class. And what is Andre Drummond doing right now? He's going to have a $29 million option he's going to pick up. Okay, so you take a team that needs to needs to free up cap space, and look at this. I can pair together 2 or 3 bad contracts, send them to the Cavs, give me Andre Drummond that's going to expire, and boom, now we have a deal in place. So now I can be a random team that's going to compete for some big time market players because I free up some cap space. Look at a team that's in some crap right now. Orlando Magic. They have players that don't quite fit their roster. Okay, you've got Isaac, you got Isaac, and you got Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon with
they don't
Orlando.
quite fit. They don't have enough pieces on that roster. They're a team that could easily want to free up some contracts, take on Andre Drummond for a half a season just so they can go compete for a big time free agent and say, hey, come pair up with this. We can make this fit nicely. Let's go make a run. There's teams that have some cap issues that could unload some people to help move things around. The Suns, another team that I think could easily drop some contracts.
They're in the playoff race right now, yeah.
They could drop some contracts,
second or third star.
Pick up a big star, and Andre Drummond being there for half a season wouldn't be a bad deal if you could free up the books.
All I'm saying is Andre Drummond was more of a chip than he is a piece. He's not a guy you're going to build around, especially not in today's NBA. You can't play the guy in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter because he can't play pick and switches properly. The dude's too slow on his feet. You don't want him shooting a three-pointer. His lateral quickness is just not what you need it to be. It's fine if you have Andre Drummond be a bench player, but he's not ready to be in that role yet.
You don't think he's a starter right now?
No, he's
on
absolutely,
a good team.
He's not absolutely a starter. He's absolutely not a guy you can get past the first round.
Is he better
look
than
at Detroit? Has Detroit gotten past the first round in the last several years?
But look at the pieces.
Look at they completely gutted their roster.
Yeah, because they didn't have any star power in the backcourt to begin with.
They had Kennard, they had Reggie Jackson, they had Andre Drummond, and they had Blake Griffin. If that roster isn't good enough to get into the first round and past the first round, that tells you something. It tells you
because the NBA is getting stronger.
You have broke Reggie Jackson.
No. I'm going to tell you off right there.
You've got Luke Kennard who can fill it up. You've got Andre Drummond who's killing your pick and switches. And you've got Blake Griffin who gets injured because of his big toe is garbage every week.
Yeah, so why are you telling me that's a good team that's competing in the playoffs?
I'm telling you that Andre Drummond does not make your team a better team. He's a bench player who should be playing 10 to 15 minutes.
Andre Drummond? We're talking about the same player, right?
He does not fit in today's NBA. I am
Is he a better
against him not playing in today's NBA.
Hold on. Has it Indiana Pacers gotten past the first round lately? In the past few years?
Did they? No, did they? They ended up getting buzzsawed recently because what's his face was out because Oladipo
was out. Okay, but in the past in the past 4, 5, 6 years, have they gotten to the second round?
I got smashed by the Cavs, bro.
Okay, but when they're not facing the Cavs in the first round, when they're not facing LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love,
because it only happened last year. Only happened last year. We had 1 year, but Indiana didn't have to meet the.
Okay, but Cavs. They probably that team if they didn't.
They have an issue too. They can't put Sabonis and Turner on the same court because they take up too much of the same space. So they're another issue because you that's why Indiana's a great fit for a Kevin Love trade. But what I'm saying is you have almost no pieces on the Cavs roster that are going forward. Look at the Cavs roster, okay? What's elite talent on the Cavs roster?
That's what they're trying to figure out.
That's gonna wrap it up for part 1 of our 2-part episode. We really get into it in terms of what the Cavs have in their roster and what kind of talent we think we have going forward in terms of being a competitive team that can make the playoffs. Don't miss part 2 of our episode where me and Timmy really get into it with Andre Drummond, with Colin Sexton, with Kevin Porter Jr. It's a big time discussion. You're not going to want to miss it. Thanks so much for tuning in for episode 1. Not going to want to miss episode 2. A lot of heated debate. It gets really fun. We're very excited for everyone to listen. Thanks so much again, and we'll see you at episode 2.